Everyone has been watching the wrong footage. For 6 weeks, the entire world has been frozen in front of the same grainy, stuttering video. A porch, a timestamp, a figure stepping out of darkness. Analysts dissected every pixel. True crime forums exploded with theories. Retired detectives gave television interviews pointing at shadows. And while everyone argued about what happened at 1:47 a.m., the real horror was buried 4 hours earlier, in a garage, with a closing door, and a man who drove away. 9:50 p.m., January 31st. A garage door groans shut in the Catalina foothills, one of Tucson's wealthiest, most isolated neighborhoods, where houses sit far apart and the desert swallows sound whole. Inside that garage, according to the only living witness present, an 84-year-old woman named Nancy Guthrie stepped out of a car, walked through a door, and vanished from the world forever. The man who drove her was Tommaso Cioni, her son-in-law. He says he watched her enter. He says he heard the lock click. He says she was perfectly fine. He is the only person alive who can say any of that. No camera captured Nancy's face entering that house. No neighbor waved from a driveway. No motion sensor triggered. No voice recorded. No timestamp confirmed. The entire foundation of this investigation, the assumption that Nancy Guthrie was alive inside that home, rests entirely on the word of the last man to see her. Then there are the pills. Nancy had a failing heart kept alive by a pacemaker and a medication routine she had followed without exception for years. Every evening at 10 p.m. she took her dose, not a habit, a lifeline. The next morning, those pills sat completely untouched on the kitchen counter, unmoved, still in their Tuesday compartment, as if time froze at 9:59. An 84-year-old woman with a heart condition and every reason to take those pills simply didn't. Either something monstrous interrupted her before she reached that counter, or she never walked through that door at all. There is no third option. You need to understand who Nancy Guthrie actually was, because the media has spent 6 weeks reducing her to a victim, and she was anything but. When her husband Charles died in a Mexican mining accident in 1988, she was left alone with 3 children and a grief that would have destroyed most people. Instead, she built an extraordinary life. Her daughter, Savannah, became an $8 million a year television executive in New York. Her son, Cameron, became an Air Force colonel. Her daughter, Annie, settled 4 miles away with her husband, Tommaso. Nancy had wealth, family, and a will of pure steel. What she didn't have on that particular night were eyes on her home. Her Nest doorbell camera was pure decoration, no cloud subscription, no active recording, no backup. A plastic shell staring blindly into the desert. And whoever came for Nancy Guthrie knew this. They knew exactly which cameras were real and which ones were theater. That evening, Nancy had taken an Uber to Annie and Tommaso's house at 5:32 p.m. They played board games. They shared margaritas. They laughed together the way families do when nobody suspects it's a final goodbye. Tommaso drove her home at 9:48 p.m. By 10 o'clock, he was allegedly pulling away into the darkness. For the next 14 hours, nobody checked on her. No text, no call, nobody drove 4 miles to knock on the door of an 84-year-old widow living completely alone with a heart condition and a broken camera. By the time someone dialed 911 at noon the following day, whoever took Nancy had already been given half a day to disappear. At 1:47 a.m., the front porch camera went dark. The FBI, excavating deleted files from Google's servers, recovered ghostly fragments of footage. What those frames revealed rewrote everything. The masked man who approached that camera didn't sneak or hesitate. He walked toward it like he owned everything, the porch, the night, and every second of what followed. Behavioral analysts call it ownership behavior, the body language of someone who has already been there, already rehearsed this moment, already decided the ending. He tapped the lens twice, slow, deliberate, a taunt, then darkness. He wore black nitro gloves, a Walmart Ozark Trail backpack, and a belly band holster. He came ready for war. For 41 minutes, the house became a black box of unimaginable horror. When investigators arrived the next day, they found perfectly circular blood droplets on the porch and driveway. No smearing, no drag marks. According to former FBI agent Maureen O'Connell, blood falling perfectly straight without smearing tells one specific story. The person bleeding wasn't walking or struggling. They were being carried. At 2:28 a.m., Nancy's pacemaker severed its Bluetooth signal, her final digital heartbeat. 8 minutes later, a car swallowed itself into the desert and left nothing behind. But 9 days before the abduction, on January 23rd, a Ring camera miles away caught a man walking backward up a driveway, timing each step precisely against the camera's motion sensor delay to keep his face permanently hidden. Same Ozark Trail backpack on his shoulders. He wasn't scouting, he was rehearsing. And on the night itself, he deployed a $30 de-authentication device to surgically disable only the Wi-Fi cameras aimed at Nancy's property, while every other camera on the street stayed fully online. This was not a burglary gone wrong. This was a military-grade operation, weeks in the making. That level of precision demands an insider, someone who knew the cameras were fake, knew the medication schedule, knew the side gate was unlocked. That shadow falls directly onto Tommaso Cioni, 20 years of intimate access to Nancy's life and routines, an AP biology teacher who understands DNA degradation, trace evidence, and exactly where forensic investigations fall apart. 8 months before the disappearance, he and Annie executed a durable power of attorney, transferring complete financial control to her. Routine estate planning or calculated preparation for catastrophe? Then there is Dominic Evans, Tommaso's bandmate of 19 years, carrying a criminal history of burglary and theft, physically matching the FBI's description of the masked phantom with chilling accuracy. 2 men, one with the knowledge, one with the criminal instinct. One plays the architect, safe at home behind airtight alibis. One plays the operative, stepping into the desert darkness to do the unthinkable. A $6 million ransom text was then sent, not to the FBI, not to Savannah, but directly to Tommaso's personal phone by Derek Calla, another figure from their tight underground music circle. Investigators called it a hoax, but in a world where information is currency, the question refuses to die. Who told Derek Calla that a deaf, unprotected millionaire was sleeping completely alone that night? Annie and Tommaso's blue Honda CR-V has sat inside a police impound for 40 days, dismantled piece by forensic teams, searching for one hair, one fiber, one invisible drop of blood. The FBI has gone silent, and that silence is not absence, it is pressure. Genetic genealogists are mapping recovered DNA. Cell tower records from January 11th, January 23rd, and February 1st are being triangulated to find the single phone present on all 3 dates. A $1 million reward hangs over Tucson like a blade. Somewhere in this city, if investigators are right, 2 people are trapped inside the most dangerous relationship imaginable, each one holding the power to destroy the other with a single phone call. The architect fears the operative will trade loyalty for immunity. The operative knows the architect will let him rot without hesitation. That silence between them is cracking. Nancy Guthrie is still out there. The answers exist in deleted server files, in dismantled car panels, buried somewhere beneath the unforgiving desert heat. The people who took her believed darkness was enough protection. They are about to learn how catastrophically wrong they were.